We all spend money on things that maybe we probably shouldn't, like March Madness bets and lottery tickets. I mean, we all have our vices, but a new survey from Bankrate shows that 84% of Americans spend money on things like alcohol, sports betting, and tobacco. Here to talk how to manage your non-essential spending while still budgeting for some fun is Bankrate analyst Ted Rossman. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So first, can you explain the difference between vice spending, like we mentioned, and spending on things like vacations or travel?
Well, it's a good point. The things that we asked about here had to do more with gambling, alcohol, tobacco, more of the kind of classic vice stocks, if you will. Now, discretionary spending also encompasses dining out and vacations and new clothes and video games and stuff like that. We didn't get into that as much with this survey. This was more about the true kind of vices, but the advice is kind of the same, which is I don't want to shame people and say you can't have any fun or you can't buy things, but we do want to do so within the constructs of a good budget and hopefully not going into debt for these things. That just makes it worse if you're paying a 20% credit card rate on top of it.
Right. Are there some red flags that someone should look out for if they think they're spending too much on these vices?
Definitely, if you're going into debt, if you're overspending, those are red flags. Also, with some of these things, if it's affecting relationships, if it's affecting your family, your friends, I mean, that might be a sign that you're overdoing it potentially with alcohol or gambling or something else.
You mentioned not going into debt, and on the other side, stress relief is important. We all have our own little things that take the edge off. Do you suggest maybe people create a budget for things like alcohol or marijuana?
Absolutely. One of the big mistakes that people make is that they either don't set a budget, or if they do, they only account for the necessities. You want to build in some fun as well, whatever that is, whether that's alcohol or sports betting or dining out or new outfits or whatever it is, you want to make sure that you build some fun into your budget. It's kind of like dieting. If you try to go cold turkey, it's probably going to flop. You want to make sure that you build some of that fun in there as well.
Anything else that stood out from this survey on the vices for you guys?
I thought the age demographics were fascinating. We see that Gen Xers are the biggest fans of lottery tickets and alcohol. We see millennials are into tobacco products and marijuana, and Gen Z are the most likely to be spending on sports betting and casino games. And it's really that Gen Z piece that I thought was the most interesting. Gen Zers are the gamblers, and we see this with other aspects of their finances. They're more likely to invest in risky things like crypto and meme stocks, and much of this was actually born out of the pandemic. When Gen Zers came of age, they had this stimulus money, they were kind of bored at home, and they got into these various forms of gambling, whether it's just outright betting on sports or casino games or gambling with crypto or gambling with risky stocks. Again, fine to have some fun now and then, but this is very different from older generations. Millennials have been kind of famously risk averse, having grown up around the Great Recession. Gen Zers are taking more risks with their money.
Yeah, that is very interesting to see how the demographics are playing out. It's okay to have fun, but like you said, have a budget, set a budget, and don't go into debt. Ted Rossman, we appreciate it as always.
Sounds good. Thank you.